I'm not so much interested in making things that are beautiful. I really find a lot more poetry in things that are sort of gloriously flawed. And I think that there is a lot more content in the loose ends than in having everything worked out. My name is Vadis Turner, and I'm an abstract sculptor. The work that I make is informed by the female identifying experience, and the big picture of my practice is to encourage the misbehaviors of domestic materials. I'm really proud to present 5 of my Unruly Vessels at the Frist, as well as a large wall relief that's composed of braided bed sheets. The wall work is called Celestial Megaliths, and it's a recent work in a series that I started in 2018, where I get used bed sheets that have been charged with human use from my community. These have been collected from Goodwills, and they have been slept in by all types of people that I don't know in Nashville. And I collect these materials and I dye them and strip them and braid them and sew them and ultimately affix them to an armature. So with this work, you see the transformation of materials, where something that was once horizontal and malleable and used in the home is now being turned up into a rigid, gridded structure. And then you see the grid turned into this softened cloud-like shape. And I like it when things have multiple identities. I like it when things don't fit into categories and you sort of don't know what you're looking at. I feel like that, for me, begs a longer engagement. Material is very much the bedrock of my practice. I extract or identify elements and materials from the home, and I manipulate them so that they do things that they're not supposed to do, so that they transition, or they transcend rather, from their intended function, and that they might betray their structural nature or disassociate from any traditional gender roles that might be affiliated with that element or object. And I also find forms like the vessel or like the window, and I put the materials that I select in the context of those forms. But I ask a lot of questions about what is this form supposed to do? What physical structure does it have? What behavioral expectations, do we identify? What is it supposed to do, and how can I mess that up? How can I twist that around into something that's a vehicle for my ideas? I go through the different parts of the house and I mine for materials that have the potential to speak in new ways. That process, that transformative process of the material, is like how this visual poetry is made. And it's not always pretty. I make a lot of mistakes, I make a lot of accidents, and nothing looks exactly how I thought it was going to be in the beginning. And I sign up for it every time, because I think not knowing is the best way to learn. And not liking something, which happens often, is the best way to get information about what you want to do. And I think I'm going to go from A to B, but that isn't really a creative process for anybody. But I start out going to B, realizing that that's horrible. But you get to B, and then you're like, I think it could be better. So then you go to like R and back to H. You're sort of all over the spectrum. That's really what a creative process is. I always knew I wanted to be an artist, but I didn't think Nashville was the place for me as a professional artist. And the work certainly changed when I moved from New York to Nashville. I had more room because I could only afford a tiny studio that didn't have any windows in New York. So the work grew. I know that Tennessee is a very important place, and this is a very important time to be making work, especially for female artists. Making this work within a conservative cultural landscape really fuels my ideas. I have a lot to say and a lot to do, and all of that really started to spark when I moved back here. I was not a pioneer in coming back with a dream, but I certainly followed suit. And I love that you still can move to Nashville with a dream, and that I get to work on mine not only in the city where these dreams took shape, but specifically in my grandfather's house, who was in the country music business, and I get to make my work where he made his dreams too. And that's not lost on me. There is such a strong community here of artists who are from here, who moved from New York or LA or other places, but I was delighted to find what a brilliant, badass art community I have in Nashville, and the female artists are very much the heavy hitters in my mind, and some of my closest friends are also in this show. And as much as I love working alone and pursuing these wild investigations, knowing that I have this community to share my craziness with and bounce off ideas with and share the gifts and the struggles of this way of living is, I mean, it's all right in Nashville. So I feel the sweetness of that fruit all the time.